Welcome back to our candid conversation with our special guest star today, Isaac Ruiz, who played Mando, co-star of Chico and the Man with Freddie Prinze. Now, Isaac, I really want to ask you, and I've heard this story because he's spoke at a lot of our Hispanic heritage events at work, and he's done a lot of stuff for that. But I want Isaac to tell us the famous Jackie Gleason story.
Well, over at NBC in Burbank, 3000 West Alameda, you know, there's a guy by the name of Floyd. He was an African American who had been there shining shoes for 25 years. And since 1949, you got to understand, this was 1974. So he tells me, Isaac, he says, no, he used to call me Mando. He said, Mando, he says, I got pictures. Look at all my pictures I have. Burt Reynolds, and I've got Johnny Carson, and I got Freddie Prinze, and I got Angie Dickinson. I got everybody on my wall. Bob Hope, man, but you're the only one that hasn't given me a picture. He says, how about giving me a picture? So one day I surprised him, and I said, hey Floyd, here's a picture. He goes, oh, my man, Mando. So he gets on a little bench and he starts putting it up on his wall of fame. His pictures of all the movie stars for 25 years that he has, right? Well, I asked him, I said, hey Floyd, what's the biggest tip you ever got? And he tells me, that's easy, brother. He turned around, he says, $50. I go, no kidding. Who gave you a $50 tip? Now this is 1974. $50 is a big tip for shining shoes. He said, that was easy. Frank Sinatra. I said, oh, Frankie, right? So he's putting up my picture, and around the corner, here comes Jackie Gleason. And he's looking sharp with a pinstripe shoe, a dark blue pinstripe suit with a double-breasted, you know, with a vest and a carnation, a red carnation, a red tie. I mean, he was looking sharp with a cane and a top. He was wearing like one of these beautiful hats, you know. And as he's going by, I said, Mr. Gleason, how about a shoe shine? So he stops, and his two managers look at him, and he said, why not? And Floyd turns around and gets all excited. And so he gets down there and starts shining Jackie's shoes. Well, I don't say another word. I don't bother him, you know. And he's talking to his managers. And so Floyd finishes. Jackie gets up and he looks at him and he says, what was your name again? He said, Floyd, sir. They call me Floyd. I've been here since 1949. He says, well, what's the biggest tip you ever got? Well, Floyd looks right at me. He looks and he says, $300. and Jackie Gleason, without flinching, takes out a wad of $100 bills and he peels off 5 $100 bills. 5.
Oh! Ooh.
5 $100 bills. And he says, now, Floyd, what's the biggest tip you ever got? And he says, you, Mr. Gleason. You, Mr. Gleason.
That's a great story, Isaac. Thanks for sharing that with us. I love Jackie Gleason also as a big fan. Yeah. Also, I want you to tell us about Johnny Carson.
Well, okay. There was one time, see, there was only a few parking spots that the big stars got. Red Fox had a Rolls Royce, and he used to park in his spot. Damon Wilson, who played Sanford and the son of Sanford, which was, you know, he had a big Mercedes that he parked right next to him. Next to him was Jack Albertson from Chico and the Man, and he had a BMW, not a big one, but a little one. And next to him was Freddie Prinze, and he had a blue Corvette. Next to Freddie was Isaac Ruiz, Mando, who had a little white Volkswagen with a Chicano flag on the back.
The El Sereno brand.
Reno from El Sereno. So one day, Johnny had the first parking spot, and he had a 350 SL, a green 350 Mercedes. So he was gonna. Nobody pulled into his parking spot. That was a no-no. That would get you fired.
Ooh.
That would get you in deep stuff, you know, from the producers. So, anyway, do you remember that there was that critic or that gossip, Rona Barrett?
Yes.
Rona drove up. Before Johnny got there, Rona drove up in her big white Rolls Royce.
Ooh.
And there was no parking, so she pulled into Johnny's spot. And that was a no-no. She gets out of her car and she looks at me, what am I gonna do? So she walks in right to the studio. Well, 5 minutes, I said, I'm sticking around for this one. I want to see what happens when Johnny comes. So 5 minutes later, here comes Johnny Carson. And he sees that someone's parked and it's Rona. On her license plate, it says Rona, you know. And he gets out of the car and he goes, that. You know, he called her the B word. And so he goes up to me, he goes to the car. I have to get up. He goes to the car like he's going to kick it. And I thought he was going to kick the car, you know. And he didn't kick it, but he made like he was going to kick it. And we both started laughing. And anyway, he put his arm around me and he says, hey, nice seeing you. Nice seeing you, Mando. Johnny always called me Mando from the show. But we walked together into the studio. And that, my friends, is my Johnny Carson
See,
story.
this is new to me because I didn't know this. I know a whole lot of your other stories, but I didn't know the Johnny Carson. That's pretty cool.
You gotta keep something.
What do you have up your sleeve?
Hey.
Well, right now, before he lets us know what else he has up his sleeve, we're going to take a little break. Come back and join us. Thanks again.